are you tuned in? If you're on our live streams, you're on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. And also, if you're on TV, you're on KTN and on radio around the country. I'll give it to you at 94.4 in Nairobi and many different connections around the country. Malindi, Mombasa, Kisumu, looking in the western part of the country as well, and growing day on day. Kenya's biggest conversation takes a bit of an energy route at this hour. And we will be looking at some of those conversations in terms of what it's actually going to take to light up Kenya. And to light up Kenya, or to power up Kenya, essentially, and some of the work that is being done in that particular respect. Okay, so that conversation takes on this morning with an engineer in the hot seat, and that is engineer Fred Ishuga, and he's the general manager at the Renewable Energy Research and Development, Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation, otherwise known as REREC, and he joins us this morning in the hot seat. Engineer Ishuga, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
It's good that you're in the hot seat this morning, because essentially we're talking about powering up the country and taking electricity to the houses and doorsteps, essentially, of everybody in Kenya. It's been one of the things that has been said by His Excellency the President very many times, and even before that they said, you know what, last mile connectivity when it comes to electricity and getting every home in Kenya powered up. So it's quite something, and so we welcome you to have that conversation with us today. And even as we do, CT is going to share a proverb with you, and let's see how you can make that connection between the proverb and your interpretation of it. Okay.
Our proverbs for the whole of this week have been from the Gabonese Republic. The Republic of Gabon, as it is called, a Central African country, really, really, really wealthy. That country was ruled for 56 years by one family. Marbongo lives with his son Ali Bongo. Then the military decided it's about time they had a change of guard, and they did have a change of guard. Anyway, mineral rich in oil. This is a tragedy of the continent, where you find a wealthy country of that nature. Those who are wealthy beyond compare, and those who are poor are dirt poor. Okay, the final proverb for the week from the country of Gabon. Bad friends will prevent you from having good friends.
Yeah, so should I interpret the proverb?
Yes, you should.
Yeah, I think I agree with the proverb, and this actually is in line with also what is in some religious scripts, that when you walk with the wicked, then of course your ways also are wicked, and in line with that also, they say, show me your friends, then I'll be able to tell who you are.
Indeed.
So I think it's very, very much in line with the proverb from Gabon.
Okay. Fantastic. No?
It is super.
Thank you very much.
Simple and to the point, and it's very true.
Thank you, please.
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't resist. Sorry, Dennis. All right. So essentially, REREC and the work that REREC does in terms of electrification. Before we start looking into what exactly is happening in the country, just give us an overview of REREC's work and what its job is to ensure essentially that you light up Kenya in a good way, of course.
Yeah, great. Thank you. REREC is Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation. That's its a long name, and is a government agency, 100% supported by government. So we are anchored under the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. So REREC has been established under the Energy Act, Section 43, which gives it two major mandates. One is rural electrification, to ensure that our rural areas have access, not just access to clean electricity. Then we have another broader mandate, which the Act also gives, and this is on promotion and development of renewable energy. Now renewable energy aspect covers beyond electricity. We look at other aspects like clean cooking, emerging technologies like green hydrogen, among others. So as a corporation, we are majorly working within those space to ensure that our communities are able to especially in rural areas, are able to have access to electricity. Currently, of course, we have played a very major part from around 2014 to this time. Electrification rates were very low before, about around 25%. Right now, as a country, we are boosting communities having access to electricity to a tune of 75%, which is really, really good. With urban having about 90%, rural areas on an average having around 68%. Yeah, but that does not mean that the communities in rural areas have access, especially those that are far from the grid. So one of the tune that we are taking around this is to embrace renewable energy, especially in off-grid areas. I want to put you into imagination of counties that are quite far from the main grid. The main grid is the main highway to pass electricity. Look at a county like Turkana, a county like Mandera, a county like in Lamu, Garissa, those very, very rural and sparse communities. They are not able to have access through the main highway, that's the grid. And therefore, we are taking advantage of renewable energy resources to ensure that those communities are powered. So that is actually what REREC does in front of electrification, but we also do other programs, ensuring that our kitchens are clean. Of course, women, they've been suffering with smoke. Somebody told me the other day that when my mother is serving me with food, she serves me crying. Then I wonder what is the problem.
One must ask why your mother is still serving you food as a grown person, but okay.
So
we don't have to go there, but okay.
When you've gone to visit her.
She's gone. When you've gone to visit.
Of course.
Right. Okay.
It is her home.
Okay.
You are the guest.
Okay.
Hey.
Karibu nyumbani.
Okay.
So, and actually this speaks to the fact that they're using polluted fuels, especially traditional biomass. And we are working as REREC very closely with the communities, sensitizing them to embrace new technology so that the kitchens also remains clean. People's health are preserved. We don't predispose them
to any kind of conditions. So let's look at some of the numbers before we even now start getting into some of the nitty-gritty. So when you talk about electrification across board, so you did give them 68% in rural communities, 90% in urban, and if you're looking at a combination of the two, you're looking at about 75%. The goal is to reach 100% by 2030. It's just 5 years away. The question is that, do you think, and when we say electrification, essentially is the powering up the cables, having, meters set up and having transformers close enough to people whereby you're able to set up the lines to every home, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Is the goal of 100% in the next 5 years then achievable from indicators today? Because it's REREC as well as Kenya Power that are putting these efforts together. Is it achievable?
Yeah, of course, practically, the goal is achievable, but it takes also additional efforts to be able to achieve this. One of it is, of course, the resources. For you to be able to reach out to communities, then you need resources. And I'll tell you that with the 70% average that Kenyan government boasts of having their communities access to electricity, the 25% that is left actually is the hardest community to be able to reach because of the complexities that comes with ensuring that all of them. You'll even realize in rural areas we have pockets we call them islands, pockets of communities that have no electricity. Somebody will say, my neighbor has from the east, my neighbor from the south, from the north has access. But we don't have. So we have a lot of pocket islands that we still need to be able to reach. And not just that, this is areas that are already on the grid. Areas that are completely off-grid requires a more dedicated effort to be able to reach. Yes, it's practical. It's practical, we can be able to, but requires dedicated resources.
And now this is a geographical problem that hard to reach or hard to navigate even when you are there.
Exactly.
And it raises then a bit of a political question, because then folks will say, well, why have you not reached us? But from what you're saying now, it's not that because you don't want to get there, but it's because you're trying to navigate and see how you will then be able to sort out issues in particular areas. Might that be the case?
Geographically, I think some areas we can say they are disadvantaged, and therefore the issues of resource coming in. Disadvantage in terms of the style of settlement, disadvantage in terms of the distance from the main grid.
Okay.
And that is where now the aspect of renewable energy comes in.
Okay.
The benefit and the beauty with the renewable energy is you can install it anywhere, especially solar, that we are strongly relying in to power those communities. You can scale it to 10 households within a community and serve only that community. You can have a standalone, you just serve one household with electricity. So with a combination of geography, then we look at taking advantage of the new resources that we have to be able to power those communities that
what are these new resources?
Mostly we talk of solar, because these are resources that we are now exploiting. We talk of wind energy. We talk of bioresources. Some of the communities naturally good keepers of animals. Then we can be able to do biogas systems to enable them to generate electricity for their use. They can also use, actually biogas has got quite multiple usage. You can also directly use it to do clean cooking.
Let me ask the question. All these things come with an element of cost, don't they?
Definitely.
Now, our rural areas are not known to be swimming in wealth. In most cases, people simply live from hand to mouth. It's a subsistence existence. How do we deal with this element of cost?
Actually, this is why REREC was established. You realize that the cost of, when you talk of electricity, the cost of connection through a commercial route is very high, and many of the communities will not be able to reach to that cost to even have a connection in their households. But the government deliberately invests through REREC to Mwananchi, and therefore what we do is we complement activities that are being done by other agencies like Kenya Power. We do the survey of those areas. We install. We actually extend the grid. We drop
Lines.
the cables so that they have access at their wall, where the meters are installed. And this is done completely free of charge. The government absorbs that cost.
I'm sorry.
No.
Engineer. Okay, sorry. Dennis, go ahead and I can come back and ask this,
Engineer, as we talk about exploiting alternative energy, say in places like Turkana, Mandera, and we talk about solar, the element of cost comes in the sense that we also understand the government came up with policy formulation that would control this, and it made it even more expensive to have solar because of the 1 million shillings having qualified individuals to set it up. But 1 million shillings to set up solar already is expensive because you also have to buy the equipment. And when you talk about solar, it is not about the panel, it is about the batteries. It's about storing this power, which already is expensive. Don't you think that the government is defeating the costs by making it expensive already?
Unless I didn't get your question right, but what is happening is that in those rural areas, we know that the cost of setting up even a small standalone unit is high. But through REREC, then we secure budget from the central government, and not just from central government, also the government also negotiate some grant support from development partners or development loans from development partners. Then we use these resources to set up energy systems within those rural communities. If you're aware of one of the decentralized systems that we have is a mini grid. A mini grid is a unit of solar power plant or wind or even small hydro that we develop using the resources that the government has secured. This will ideally be very expensive for communities to be able to set it up on their own. And therefore, with the resources that we have, we set up the plant, then we distribute the power.
I'm asking about the individuals who are setting up for themselves in rural areas, because not everybody would get the government support, but the government itself has made it difficult for the rural communities to get access to power. That's what I'm talking about.
Not ideally, because of course the equipment are expensive, because the costs are determined elsewhere. Yeah, especially cost of the batteries, and the batteries being very delicate part of the of renewable energy systems storage is very high. Yeah, but the government has deliberately also put some fiscal incentives in place. Yeah, those who are getting these items, then they are getting it at a reduced cost because of the duty that has been waived off from that, to accelerate individuals who wants to do that, to be able to manage the costs.
Okay, you talked about the rural electrification. I just want to talk about that particularly when we talk about one of those things being the last mile connectivity, which now falls under you as well as one of the projects that government said we're going to make sure down to the last essentially centimeter, anybody who needs it is going to get it, or it's just going to be provided. And you talked about now the cables essentially being dropped to your wall and this being done free of charge. I wanted you to clarify that. That means people in homesteads who are looking for power today will not have to pay a shilling to be able to access it. What you pay is the usage. Please just clarify that.
Exactly. With the rural electrification program under Last Mile, under REREC. Yes. We extend the grid. We also maximize the transformer, because some of the transformers have been underutilized, yet communities have grown in specific areas. So what happens is we invest in the cost, we extend the grid within those communities and drop off the cables to their homes.
Okay.
Yes.
So nobody has to pay a shilling. So if we are in, let's take a stab, a place where nobody knows about, Tamu in Muhoroni, okay? And
that's where I come from. Yes. Why do you think they're smiling and feeling happy among themselves?
Okay.
Okay.
And somebody's family called Muga, just random,
yes,
needs power dropped into their home, and they go to the local KPLC office, right?
REREC office.
REREC office in this case,
yes,
right? And they find engineer and says, actually, we've not had power. We've just set up here. We've come back to the town. We need to set this up. What you're saying, engineer, is that they will not have to part with a shilling.
Exactly.
And other people in the community may have power, may have not. There's already a, what's that big thing?
The transformer. Yes.
That is already there. So nobody Nobody has to spend a shilling to have power brought to their home.
Exactly. But they have to now pay
Uh-huh.
for the meters.
Okay.
Because, what we do, of course, right now, the face that interacts with the customer is Kenya Power.
Yes.
Yeah, they're the ones who now do the billing.
Okay.
So what the communities does is they need to have a wiring certificate that's at their cost. Because you need to do wiring and it needs to be certified that it's safe for you to use.
Okay.
Yeah, so they need to ensure that that is done, and that is done through a certified technician.
Okay.
Licensed by EPRA.
Okay.
That's EPRA.
Okay.
So with that, also they need to purchase the meter,
Okay.
which now is installed at the point we have dropped the cable
In their home.
in their home.
Okay.
So the meter is purchased.
Okay. What's
But-
the cost of the purchase of a meter?
Yeah, that I may need to confirm with Kenya Power. About 7,000.
7,000 shillings.
About that.
Okay.
So, yeah, about that.
What else do you need to purchase? And I'm going somewhere with this, please. What
so,
else do you need to purchase?
Yeah. So
that you spend? Yeah.
Yeah. With that, then they start paying for their bills.
Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
I spend 7,000 shillings in Tamu. Somebody comes and installs the meter in my home, and then I'm either through a prepaid or postpaid. Usually, it's going to be prepaid with the tokens. Then I can start to receive power in my home.
Yeah, sure.
So I shouldn't pay more than 7,000 shillings.
You shouldn't pay to the government. You shouldn't pay more than that, because you only pay for the cost of meter and ensure that you have your wiring system certified so that it's safe also for you to use.
And how long should that take? I come to REREC offices in Tamu. I pay the 7,000 bob, and you told me, yes, we're going to come and install the meter. Should I have power by the end of the
Yeah,
day?
just for clarification, the 7,000 is not payable to REREC.
Or it's for the meter?
That is for Kenya Power,
Power.
that
Kenya Power.
interacts with the billing.
Okay.
Yes. For us, it's completely free. You are not paying anything to REREC.
Okay.
Yes.
How long does it take for the meter to then come to my home in order for me to start accessing power?
Yeah, it has been a challenge, and I have to clarify that metering still is a function outside REREC, metering and billing of customers. Of course, recently there's been some slight challenge, delay in metering. We extend, we drop the cables, and the meters takes longer.
How long,
to be
engineer?
installed. May not be specific to give the
Remember, you said
specific.
it's outside his purview.
Yeah. So it's
Understood.
it's outside REREC.
But
That is
so the
completely
question,
done by
that she's asking, okay, on average,
yeah. So on
A
Yes,
week,
yes.
a month?
on average, actually standard procedure. Immediately we drop, then for you to use, you need to be metered and billed.
Okay.
So before even you start using, after installation, and that has happened. Yeah,
I'd like you to walk us through this period, this process that takes place before you drop.
You drop, yes.
Yes. And I also want to understand, you're talking solar here.
Yeah.
So if I have electricity through power lines, can I also apply to have solar?
Can I disappoint you for
Yes.
just a minute?
Yes.
Let's take a break, right?
That's not a disappointment.
Okay. And then,
That
so
is
that we
de-
now
that is-
give...
that is delayed gratification.
Very good. See, I'm glad that you're seeing the positive light and connection in all of this. Let's just take a break. We'll take a look at weather traffic and then come back, because I think that's important for us to now look into into the details. And then we will do that when we come back. We are having a conversation today about getting electricity essentially to the doorstep, rural electrification, and looking at last mile connectivity to happen at 100% by 2030. And we're starting to look at some of the intrigues into that. And joining us this morning to have that conversation, even as we do take that break, is engineer Fred Ishuga, and he is the general manager at REREC. It's 28 minutes to 9 o'clock. Don't go away. Back after this.
By the order of His Antiqueness, Sir Leo of the Curious Cat, an archery contest shall be held this day.
Before even I knew what catwalking is, I was walking like a man.
Nikienda vijijini wanasemanga mimi ni Isaac Newton, George Washington na John Michael Bush wananionea wivu juu I'm wiser than them.
Coaching pia ni talent. That's why unaona most of the coaches from Europe, most of the coaches wana win games sababu gani? Walicheza football.
Majama, ndo mimi tena, si niliwaambia aje nitapeana 100k kwa watu 14. Watu wakanishuku. Niliona watu kwa inbox yangu wakiniambia, "Hatuoni kama unaweza peana 100k." Osea.
Yes sir.
Ni ukweli ni uongo?
Ndio hii hapa. Uondo waishaicheki, wanaweza jionea wenyewe. Ni ukweli ndio hii. Majamaa wenye mnaicheki hapa, hii ndio jina yangu, do ndio hiyo, biashara nimeiboost. So fanya hivi. Mimi nilivumilia hiyo siku zote, siwezi kuambia ni siku ngapi but over 6 months. Hii do juu imekaa na surprise na nilikuwa na mpango. Mimi nilikuwa nimechukua ndudhi. Nilikuwa nimechukua ndudhi alone, nilikuwa nimebakisha 47k. So hiyo 47 natoa hapa, hiyo nyingine tupige sherehe na mama. Alafu mtoi tumalizane na yeye 10k ilikuwa imebakia chuo.
Hapo sawa.
Nimemaliza.
Unasema leo wanangoa traka.
Alafu na haya.
Hapo sawa.
Fiti.
Omoka na daka mamili every 20 minutes. Multiply bet yako times 5,000 killer draw. Ukicheza na 20 bob only una daka laki yako. 40 bob wins you 200,000. Ukicheza na 100 unashinda nusu milioni. Millions to be won every day. Cheza daka, pesa bika na washindi. Ni rahisi. Nenda kwenye paybill 440 account KTN, amount shilingi 20 hadi shilingi 2,000 and get your cash with direct to your M-Pesa. Cheza daka.
They license such kind of installations. Yeah, you have to report to register that project. Let it be certified by a certified licensee from EPRA. Then you are able to.
I'm thinking of my home, not the business.
It's the same.
I still have to apply to EPRA.
Yes. Because all installations, energy is a regulated space.
But I thought it's you people who do that job.
I think City is asking from the aspect that he already has power.
Yes.
Can he still get solar through REREC?
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, I get you.
Oh, you thought I wanted to go to the market to get it?
Yes.
So you're seated here, and you're Mr. REREC. No, it is you.
I think your demand is justified, but I mentioned that, of course, resources are scarce. Yeah, and we are able to.
They're now scarce when I'm asking for.
Let me clarify something here. As REREC, being a government agency, we concentrate in ensuring that the public space. Mostly we reach out to, for electrification, we reach out to public spaces which involves markets. Then we have connections for dropping from the grid or from the mini grid. We only drop cables from the network. When it comes to installation of those standalone systems, we call them standalone systems, then we only do them in public facilities. This involves health facilities, administrative offices, schools. Yeah, like what you are mentioning, REREC has installed 4,886 schools with those standalone solar systems, especially in off-grid areas. Yeah.
Why the discrimination?
There's no discrimination here. Even the style of how we do electrification program, we target public facilities. You realize that most of the areas that we are extending grid, we prioritize schools, dispensaries and health facilities, markets, administrative offices, then communities. That is the first stage. Then communities around are able to enjoy the benefits of what has come within the public facilities. But now, of course, with the need for communities that are around those spaces, I've mentioned about islands. local islands, an area that we have public facilities across. I don't know where you come from, the other side. The other side.
Yeah.
Yes, in Moroni. Then we realize that we have a community there that has been left unfeasibly because we connect up to 600 meters from the transformer. Okay. Then we cannot extend beyond that because of safety reasons and power losses, among other engineering aspects that are related to it. Then we extend and install another transformer close to at the node of those communities. Then we distribute. But ideally for solar systems, the way you are the one you're talking about, we do only for public facilities. Yes, standalone systems.
We talk about 100% energy connectivity by the year 2025. But let's talk about the far-flung areas. Let's talk about the Turkanas of the country, northeastern, who are majorly pastoralists. They keep on moving from one point to the other. How do you deal with that, especially as well, on another question, fact that they are sparsely populated? Because we know you talk about a center where you can drop, but you'd find there's a community here and then another community is kilometers and several kilometers
sometimes over
away.
200 kilometers
Yes.
apart.
How do you deal with that, and how will we ensure that these communities that are moving get access to these power?
Let me say this. Pastoralism is a cultural, it's a cultural issue. But with what we have seen, the behavioral change when we start receiving these resources, electricity is an enabler.
Yes.
Immediately you install a community with an electricity access, then it enables so many things. It improves comfort of homesteads. You are able to pump water. So you start finding those areas having boreholes and all that. And actually the pastoralists move because of search for water and pasture. So with these initiatives, we have started to see decreasing number of those who continue to practice pastoralism. Yes. So, and of course, with continuous access for these communities, the more we enable them to have access, then the more they devise different methods to be able to survive, with their livestock and all that. And naturally, it creates those nucleated settlement nodes, because everybody will want to be closer to where there is access to electricity.
Right.
So generally, it is minimizing those behaviors. Yes.
Okay. So the two challenges that I've heard so far in terms of reaching the goal, because from what you've said, the infrastructure is available. It's there already. The desire clearly is there. But I hear you talk about two main challenges. One would be your geographical challenges in terms of, access. And the other is a resource challenge when it comes to basically we don't have enough money to do as much as we would want at the time that we would want this to happen. So the question is, beyond that, are there any other things that we would see that essentially would stop this 7-year goal from being achieved, that we want to be able to get towards 100% in terms of the numbers by 2030. But I hear you saying that, okay, number one, we can't access all the areas that would need the power. Number two, we don't have enough money to be able to give everybody, the power that we need. Is there anything else?
I think as well, let me just write on that, because there is also the aspect that, like the Lake Turkana wind power system, is it functioning? Because at some point it was just stalled.
I can start with you. Of course, Lake Turkana wind power is an installation of a different institution. Yeah, but as far as we are concerned, it's still generating. It's still functional. Yeah. On the issue of resources, of course, as I mentioned, they are scarce. You can only do in a cascade way. You have budget this time, you are able to do this much. You have budget the other year, you are able to do this much. And that's how we've been moving. I mentioned from 2014, electrification access of just barely above 20%. And right now, it's about 75%.
Okay.
Yeah, so of course, the government has been
7% of the entire country.
Yes. On average. So ideally, the government has been making effort to see that we speed up this process, and that's the need for looking for other innovative methods to be able to do this. You have had new models coming in place. For generation, of course, you have heard of invitation of private sector to support us to generate so that we can be able to have sufficient for everyone. You have heard of public-private partnership models where the government invites able private companies or individuals to be able also to take part in the process so that we can be able to quickly move towards ensuring that 100% access to electricity is reached by 2030. So quite a number of methods are being employed to be able to facilitate quick achievement of the goal.
Okay, so beyond then just the geography of it and the resources, we also then have access to adequate power. That the power that is available in the country right now is not enough to even serve those that are connected, right? So you're looking for additional sources as well to then be able to, because if you get new people on the grid today, if you're dropping more lines to more homes, and let's say that the next 25-30% has actually been reached, you can do the skeletal work, but you don't have the meat in terms of the power because there's just not enough. Am I wrong? Or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of investment going into, in addition to building infrastructure to access every Kenyan to electricity. There's also dedicated plan to have generation boosted. We have also seen the government doing inter-country connections between Ethiopia, between Uganda, between Tanzania. Invitation of private sector. And they enter into a PPP agreement. Of course, it's within is outside what we do within REREC, but those are steps that the government is actually taking to be sure that yes, we are connecting, and yes, we have sufficient to serve the population. And the nature of energy is also as you connect, then the demand goes up. And this is from a household level. I just take an example of some of the mini grids that we have connected. By the way, we have quite a number in those areas that are not able to be reached very soon with a grid. You connect a household. Initially, they only have 3 bulbs. Then they realize, okay, I need to listen to Spice FM. I need to watch KTN. They buy a TV. Within no time, it's so hot there. Most of those areas, the temperatures are slightly because of the lower. A fridge comes, among other things. Then you just start finding they were paying 500 a month. Right now, the bill has gone because of the consumption. It has also gone up. So it's the nature of electricity. So as we invest in connecting, the government is also very deliberate to invest in generation and strengthening the highway, the infrastructure, transmission infrastructure.
I want to go back to metering, and I know that, of course, outside the purview, but essentially it is one of the humps in the road that stops then REREC from doing what it's supposed to do. So if you supply the power, it's essentially useless if you don't have the mechanism that is going to then make sure that it's in the house. If there are there ways that you can, egg on your friends at Kenya Power to shorten the process of metering? Because folks are paying for it. People are paying the 7,000, so that means the meter is there. So are we talking about the process of coming down to the place, connecting the thing? Somebody's not there on a Tuesday, waiting for them to come back on Thursday, and then sadly it's the weekend, we have to wait until Monday. Is that the process that we're dealing with? Or is there something beyond that that then precludes folks from doing the connection of the meters? Because it affects your work as REREC.
Of course, it does. And of course, also disadvantage the citizens, of course. You you are able to see that you can connect, but you still not connected. Yeah, so the minister has been taking a very deliberate move to ensure that the time is shortened. And actually, I can confidently mention that the PS and the CS have been working around the clock with KPLC through some of the meetings that we attend to ensure that we shorten the time. And immediately we drop the cable and the line is energized, then the communities can immediately start benefiting from power. So this is a process that is being managed. It's being managed between the ministry and, of course, the Kenya Power. Yeah, and currently there's been a lot of step towards closing the gap. Yeah, of metering those that already connections have been done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you say connectivity, especially setting up these systems, is an intensive and deep-pocketed affair. It is expensive to set them up. But that notwithstanding then brings out the conversation that government can come up with incentives for whoever wants to set up so that it's affordable to them and easier work in producing, in distributing this power. So in terms of having conversations, in making sure that it's easier for investors to set up, talk about incentivizing them, making sure that if it's all about batteries that are being bought, that the government has played its role to make your work easier. Those conversations, do you have them with the government? And if so, where are we?
I may not give a full.
Eric as a stakeholder.
Yeah, yes. we are stakeholder, and that's why I'll try to respond. Yes, this is happening. While the energy space is regulated, it's also liberal. It's regulated, but we allow different stakeholders to come at different points to be able to support. Private sector have had a role. And they really do a very, very great job within the space. I'll just mention that, like in those far-flanked, let's talk of maybe Kakuma, if I may just do an example. We have private players there, and they have had the benefit of government facilitating also them to enter into those spaces and set up energy systems, distribute, and also charge the customers. So that is done with other areas. Of course, we have quite a number of private players, private mini grid operators. Yeah, through direct investment or investment through grant financing or loans. Yeah. So they come through, they request for permission to be able to serve a specific area. Then, of course, we look at our roadmap, electrification roadmap. Is this area likely to be covered this time?
Yeah.
If it's not likely to be covered within a specific period, then we allow them to set up.
Okay.
Yes. And also, they go ahead and charge the customers.
Okay.
Apart from now, of course, the tariff also has to be determined. They negotiate the tariff. We have EPRA, they regulate.
Yes.
So they negotiate the tariff. Of course, it might not be the same as the tariff that others who are connected through government installation do. But the tariff it has to be cost reflective because the investor needs to recover their cost.
Sure.
Yeah. So EPRA gives a tariff that is manageable for them to be able to get their return. Yeah.
That's a politically correct statement.
So if we played a little bit into the future and see a time in 2030, which is not too far away from today,
Exactly.
2025 is where we are 5 years from now, and we say that, fine, the goal has been achieved, last mile connectivity has been reached, rural electrification to, as close to 100% as possible also has been reached. What would then be the job of REREC?
Yeah, REREC has got a huge mandate. REREC has a huge mandate. One, of course, I mentioned that the target of 2030 is possible. Recently in February, you saw Kenya Power and REREC signed some contracts, which was overseen by His Excellency President, to do 114 mini-grids in 14 underserved counties. So we are very much, and this is a program that is supported by the World Bank. So we are seeing a situation where we are very close to reaching there, but to understand that the situation is dynamic. You will have access of 5,000 communities today, but the communities keeps increasing.
Sure.
So we have to keep matching with the increase, changes in dynamics. We have to keep to track with the need for more generation. So we will need to generate more. Of course, in 5 years, 10 years to come, the amount of energy required to serve our community will not be the same as today because of the many changes that will have happened. The demand will have gone up for electricity, among other things. So REREC has got still a lot to do within the electrification space. But remember, the mandate of REREC after the 2019 Energy Act, it was expanded.
Yes.
And we are doing much more now within renewable energy space. Renewable energy does not end with electricity access.
Sure.
I just briefly mentioned that we are doing clean cooking.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have energy centers across the country. We call them.
In how many counties?
We have 16.
16
in
counties.
16 counties. Actually 17. We have.
How did you
yes.
select the 17 counties?
Yeah. Initially, of course, these energy centers were set by the Ministry of Energy in 1984.
1994.
84.
84.
Yes. It's early.
That's in the previous century.
Yes. Okay. So we had provincial administrations and all that. So they anchored into that. But right now, when they were transferred to REREC with the promulgation of the new act, then we have them situated in those 17 counties. And REREC has a role to work with county governments.
Were all the provinces covered?
I may need to look at the road.
All the provinces were covered. It means regionally, REREC has a presence literally in every region.
Actually, we do. Yes. We do. Because our electrification project is across all the constituencies. Yes, and our energy centers also are covering all the constituencies. Yeah. So with the energy centers, these are centers that were specifically put in place to promote renewable energy. Okay. Yeah, to promote improved cookstoves, to also support in averting issues of deforestation. That time it had come so bad.
Yeah.
So we also have tree nurseries and tree growing activities with those energy centers. But above all, what we do there mostly is to sensitize communities and to train communities in effort of increasing adoption of renewable energy, not just electrification, because we have other aspects of renewable energy. Look at solar water heating systems.
Yeah.
They are not been taken up so much. We are promoting that. We have technicians there who give technical assistance to farmers to be able to set up biogas energy systems in their homes. Yeah, they design for them, they monitor how the installation is done and support the farmers through the operation phase. Yeah, so that the biogas system can be useful in their households. So these are some of the activities that REREC is gearing up to be able to ensure that renewable energy really is absorbed by the communities.
Right.
Yeah.
So some of the renewable energy mechanisms require intervention at the policy level of ministry, whereby there's certain things that need to be done, implemented to ensure something like solar power is used, solar power is implemented, solar power is then as an alternate source of energy. But there's so many things that need to be done in the interim, and that's why we see some of the hiccups are that we can't. I mean, for goodness sake, we have countries around the world who see sun 4 months a year and are implementing solar power strategies better than we are, who see the sun maybe twice a day, even on Sunday. So the question is, are there mechanisms to ensure that some of these alternate renewable energy sources are actually being implemented and not just a suggestion?
Yeah, definitely, and that's why I am presenting the activities that we are doing through the energy centers. Remember, most of renewable energy system that are used at household level, they are small in nature. They are not very like what city mentioned that he wants to have his rooftop installed, or a car park installed with a solar PV system.
Yeah.
Of course, that will have to be a privately initiated program for you.
Do you allow us to pay you to do that?
We don't receive any charge.
If I
you work in our energy center.
Yes.
You give us your requirements. We send our team there. It gives you technical assistance. Then you procure a service provider. They can tell you are able to do this.
And you
much.
can point me to a service provider.
We try to remain neutral because most service providers are private entities.
The reason why I ask the question is because.
But we can point you.
You have a pool of this.
Yes, not only that. This is what you do. So you clearly have more knowledge than I do.
Of course.
Yes.
So we'll tell you you can deal with this, or this. They're within the area.
Yes.
Okay.
Visit them. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, great to see the visibility. Of course, we see what the challenges are, what the hurdles are. The hope is that those hurdles can be, surmounted, and we can move to a place where truly one of these things, which we can see in the horizon, can be achieved in Kenya under REREC, can actually be done. We want to thank you for being here with us this morning. And we keep checking on you and seeing, how far have we gone. Engineer Fred Ishuga is the General Manager, Renewable Energy Research and Development, Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation, otherwise known as REREC, has been our guest this hour. Thank you so much for being here.
Great. Thank you to be hosted with you.
Asante sana. Good morning. 9 a.m.